Plastic is everywhere. It's unavoidable. If I asked you to go find something made of plastic from around your house, you probably wouldn't have to get up from where you're sitting to grab it. It's an abundant and cheap resource used to make just about anything it possibly could. Despite it looking harmless, we might end up looking back on plastics the same way we look back on lead. Research on microplastics has shown that it has negative impacts on our environment and possibly even our health. Plastic was first introduced in 1869 when scientist John Wesley Hyatt made the first synthetic polymer. Polymers are materials made of long chains of molecules. There are natural polymers and man-made ones, which are often made of petroleum. The invention of plastic meant there was now a resource that had no scarcity around it, meaning it was easier to get a hold of and therefore cheaper to buy and make things with it. Plastics were originally used as a replacement for elephant ivory, which was difficult to obtain. Early plastics were also perceived as being hygienic. Microplastics are defined as particles of plastic that are 5 millimeters to 1 nanometer in size. Microplastics can either be formed by larger plastic items breaking down over time or by intentionally creating them that small. A physician from Stanford Medicine, Desiree Labad, said, "Plastic never goes away. It just breaks down into finer and finer pieces." Because microplastics are new and synthetic, no species has evolved to consume it, which is how other items like wood decompose. Plastic is also made from carbon, which forms very strong bonds and makes it difficult for enzymes to break the bonds in order to break down the plastic. Primary microplastics are microplastics that were intentionally created. If you've ever had one of those little hand sanitizer bottles and see those small beads in it, these are microplastics that were intentionally produced for this product. You might have also seen them in face washes or some toothpastes. Secondary microplastics form when a larger item made of plastic starts to break down instead of decomposing. Most microplastics that enter the environment are secondary microplastics. As more and more everyday items are made of plastic, our consumption of these plastics increases. Studies have found that we consume 6 times more plastic today than we did in the 90s. That probably doesn't come as much of a surprise. The vast majority of our plastic ends up going into landfills, and the lack of oxygen and sunlight underground makes these plastics decompose even more slowly. But even then, it isn't truly decomposing, only breaking down into smaller pieces. Microplastics have been found in basically every organ in the human body, including the placenta and breast milk. You've essentially had microplastics in your body since before you were born. The effects of microplastics aren't very studied. It's difficult to find a control group when, as far as we know, everyone on the planet has been exposed to them. So far, there isn't any conclusive evidence that microplastics can make us sick, but there is evidence that they can make existing illnesses worse. Research has found that people diagnosed with dementia had 10 times more microplastics in their brains than people without the condition. Scientists have found that people with microplastics in the plaques of their carotid arteries are 4.5 times higher to have a stroke or heart attack. So far, scientists haven't found a direct link between microplastics and cancer, but cancer rates are on the rise, especially in younger people, and they haven't been ruled out as a potential cause. This doesn't mean it's causation, though. Dementia makes it more difficult for your brain to prevent foreign matter from entering it. For example, plastics could act as an aid to these illnesses, where instead of helping cause them, it instead helps them progress once a person is already sick. Microplastics can enter your body through consuming it or inhaling it. You don't have to be eating pieces of plastic for this to happen either. Microplastics are difficult to filter out of water. This means it can be in the water you drink and the food you eat. Microplastics can also go airborne, so if you're around a lot of degrading plastics, you could be breathing microplastics in right now. There is evidence suggesting that if microplastics are small enough, they can pass through your skin as well. Microplastics have huge impacts on the environment as well. Microplastics can transport pollutants as they spread, which can introduce environments and their wildlife to harmful toxins. Plastic pollution can even help invasive species spread by creating artificial habitats and alter properties of already existing ecosystems. Microplastics can affect the water retention and nutrient cycling in soil, which affects the plant's ability to grow in that soil. The accumulation of plastics in different environments can aid the spread of invasive species. They can cause blockages in different organisms, affecting their ability to eat and feed. Scientists have started finding promising solutions for microplastic pollution and harm. A professor of science named Julie Goddard and her team of researchers have created an enzyme that can break down certain types of plastic. This type of enzyme can be used in sewage systems and prevent microplastics from entering our water. There was also a high school student, Mia Heller, who discovered a way to filter 96% of microplastics out of drinking water by using a magnetic oil that can bind to plastic particles. People are looking for alternatives to plastics to aim for less plastic pollution and harm to our bodies. A return to glass bottles and more paper and cardboard for packaging could greatly reduce plastic consumption, but glass is heavier and more prone to breaking, and paper leads to more trees being cut down. The main reason we still rely on plastic is because it pretty much solves every problem it doesn't create. It's cheap, easy to mass produce, lightweight, durable, and easy to recycle. Returning to old methods like glass bottles would be an expensive decision. There are some other alternatives, like bamboo, which grows extremely quickly, or hemp, which is very durable. Seaweed and mushroom mycelium are also good options, both being used to make the material. Material made from seaweed has edible components and are compostable. Mushroom mycelium. While plastic pollution is harmful and microplastics have a possible negative impact on our health, there are also some positives to the creation of plastic. Plastic allows for more sterile medical environments by offering single-use and sterilely packaged equipment. Flexible equipment has also made non-invasive surgeries possible. Plastic is also a good insulator and has made safety equipment even safer, which protects people and workers in dangerous environments. Plastic can also minimize food waste and conserve water. Even when discussing something that's harmful like plastic, it's important to look at any benefits and keep those in mind when looking for solutions to the problem. Seeing the good in plastic will help plan for an even better replacement that doesn't get rid of the things that made plastic so widely used. There are different types of plastic, with some being more harmful than others. You can identify different types of plastic by looking at the plastic number listed on it. I'll put up a picture to show what this looks like. The numbers are there for recycling purposes, but they're also a good way to tell what kind of plastic it is. There are some options that are more environmentally friendly, such as PHAs, which are made from natural polymers. There are also bio-PEs and bio-PETs that are made from a renewable resource rather than petroleum. There are a lot of ways to lower your plastic usage. You can get your own reusable, non-plastic bags for grocery trips, try buying clothes made of cotton instead of polyester, which is a plastic, using cutting boards and ceramic plates instead of plastic ones, and buy items with less plastic packaging. It may be impossible to completely remove plastic from your life, for now at least, but these are ways to limit usage and can help prevent more plastic pollution and further exposure to microplastics. The most common types of microplastics come from food containers, single-use packaging, tires, microbeads in skin products, and synthetic clothes. Using reusable containers, products without microbeads, and clothes made of natural fibers, you can help cut down the usage of microplastics. You can also try recycling any plastic you do use, as keeping it out of landfills is one of the best ways to prevent more microplastics from entering the environment and our bodies. There is still hope, so we shouldn't give up. We've made huge strides in combating climate change in recent years, and we're going to find more solutions to microplastics and perfect ones we've already found. Microplastics aren't going to kill you. As far as we know, they might speed up sickness, but they won't make you sick. You don't have to be afraid of plastics and microplastics, but it's good to be mindful and aware of how things can affect you. It's weird to think about how everyday items you're used to thinking of as normal can have side effects like that. I think if more people care about reducing the amount of plastic we have, we can lower pollution and can help lower the amount of microplastics in our bodies. I hope this video isn't going to leave you scared or paranoid about plastic. I promise you won't get some horrible illness if you don't reduce your plastic intake, and you won't destroy the environment if you can't recycle. If you thought this video was interesting, consider leaving a like. If you want to watch more educational science content, subscribe to my channel. If you have any other information to add or tips on how to reduce plastic pollution, leave a comment. I have all of my sources linked in the description, and I highly encourage you to check them out along with doing additional research on your own. I currently have 3 other videos posted, 2 about astronomy and 1 about the Grand Canyon if you think you'd want to check those out. Thank you for watching.